that is creating reusable component. Okay. So reusable component is the most tricky one. It's not easily understood by everyone in the first go. It will take time. Okay. Those who are already working, they might have an idea. But those who are learning Angular for the first time, like, it is hard to process. Okay. Now, now just consider that you are working on a project, and in your project there are multiple places where you want to show some data in that ULLI format, right? We know ULLI, right? Like this. So there are multiple places where you want to show this data in this format. Okay, ULLI format. Now, so what you will do, let's say in ngFor also you have to show some, and it is like string of data, either city list, state list, it can be anything, string of arrays there. And in your whole project, in so many component, you have to display ULLI kind of data. Okay. And let's consider this ULLI like this. Can we give color to this dot? Anyone have tried? This dot is there. Can we give color to this? Yes or no? I
Yes,
don't know.
right. I didn't try it, but I have seen like colored dots as well in some places.
If we give color, it will be to the whole ULI. Consider key this dot has some color also. Okay. And according to different pages, somewhere you have to show red dot, somewhere you have to show green dot, something. Okay. So your requirement is like in all the pages you have to show the ULLI, and according to your condition, somewhere you show red dot, somewhere you show green dot. Okay. Now what you will do?
Input output.
No, I'm saying without input output. Let's say you don't know the input output or you don't know the reusable component. So in every component, you will write the same piece of code again and again, right? This
Yes.
ULLI, you will write again and again in all the component, but that will be code repetition, right? Again, that CSS, in every component, you have to write that CSS and something, right? So instead of writing it again and again, we can move that code into another component, and that component we will call it everywhere. Okay. You Sandhya, be on mute. Okay. See, in ngFor we have this ULLI. Okay. Let's say in life cycle, do we have the component? Yeah. In life cycle also we need to show the ULLI. But in life cycle we have, let's say, state list. MH, MP, AP, Goa. Okay. And here also I will need to show the ULLI data. So UL @for loop state list, and inside that I have the LI. It's an array of strings, so item only I will print. So in lifecycle also I have the ULLI, and in ngFor also I have the ULLI. Okay. See, this is ngFor and lifecycle here also. Now if you see these both of the pages, your ngFor and your lifecycle, this code is repeated. This 3-line code is repeated. It's repeated or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Here we have ngFor, here we have used @for loop, but basically same thing. So this is kind of repetition. I We know like it's just three lines, one, two, one, this for loop, right? It's just 4 or 5 lines, but still it is getting repeated. Correct or no?
Yes,
So
sir.
as I said, like let's say you have what do we say? Color also. And let's say if you don't have something reusable, in every component you have to change something. Let's say before li, you need to show some index also. Okay. So again, in every component, you have to go and change it. So instead of doing that, we can move this code, whatever the HTML code in your project, whatever the HTML code is getting repeated again and again. And some value is going to change, but HTML structure is same, but just value is going to be different. So that piece of HTML code we can move into our reusable component. Okay. Now see. So what I will do in app folder, I'm creating one more folder that is reusable. Okay. In this reusable component, I'm creating one more component. ng generate component my ul. Okay. Just a name I'm giving my ul. So I have created one more component. Okay. Now, the, whenever you create a reusable, see, these are component only. It doesn't matter it is reusable or basic same component. Whatever the component you know, it will be like that only. But for reusable component, we don't create the route. We can create because it's a component, so we can create. But for reusable component, we don't create the route. Why? Because these components we are going to use in another component. Understood? For reusable component, we don't create route. We can, but we don't create because this component normally we use in another component by using its selector. So we don't need a route of it. Okay? First point. Now, so this ULLI, instead of putting it over here, this common part, I'm moving it to my this component. Okay? And here, okay, let's use the ng for. Okay. Now, in this component, now this, let's say this component, if I said my ul component, I'm going to use in ng for also and ng cycle also. Now in my ul component, I cannot create the array. Array should come from in your parent component, right? Let's say I'm just commenting this now. My app, my ul. Okay, once I select it, import will be automatically added. Okay, here also I'm adding, and here also I'm adding. We need the import. Fine. And currently in my ul we don't have it. So let's put the static li 111 222. Fine. So in my ulli component, I just have a static ulli. Okay. Now this ulli component I'm using in ng for also and in lifecycle component also. So it has some static UI now. So it will display that. See here also you can see 1111, and if you go to ng for here also 1111. Understood? So this ULLI is coming from your reusable component because we have used the selector of that component into both of this component. This is clear. Before creating routing also we used to render the component by selector, correct? Like this in app component. So in ng for component we have rendered my ULLI component. In lifecycle component we have rendered my ULLI component. This is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Now
Yes.
from so parent child relationship. Now here ng4 is my parent component and ulli is my child component. Here lifecycle is my parent component and this is my child component. This is correct because we are rendering this component into this component. So this become parent to this, parent to him.
Correct.
In this scenario, this become parent to him. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now in ng4 we have to pass this array to this component. From parent component, we want to pass some data to child component. And in some life cycle also, I want to pass this state list over here. Okay, means from my parent component, I want to send some data to my child component. Okay, now whenever we have to pass some data from parent component to child component should have a property to receive it, right?
Mm.
If you are passing some data from here to here, this component should have some property na, to receive that data.
Yes.
For that, in your child component .ts, we have to create a property. What do we mean by property? Variable, na?
Input.
Class
No, no.
variable, yeah.
Normal property. What is mean by property?
Yes.
Variable.
Yeah.
Or someone will call it as a state also. Okay. Now, let's say array list colon. Now, sometimes it can be string array, sometimes it can be number array also. So that's how I'm going with any of array. Fine. This is your normal variable. But this normal variable you cannot access over here in the parent component. If you want to send data to this, you cannot send it from your parent component right now. So this normal variable we have to convert into input. Then only you can pass data from another component to this particular variable. So beside this variable, we have to write @input. Okay, and round bracket. That's it. Now, so this is your property, but this has an input decorator. See, this is one more decorator. Yesterday we have yesterday which decorator we have seen?
First
Host listener. That was what type? What was the type of that decorator?
method.
Method.
Method
This is another decorator. What will be the type of this decorator?
Class.
Hmm?
property.
Property. In front of property, we are adding it. This we are adding in front of class. So this is class decorator. This is property decorator. That was method decorator. Okay. Now, so now if you see over here, control space I'm adding. It is coming over here. See, because this is a property of this component. Just like type also. How do we, let's say this text box is there. If I say you, I want to provide a variable data to this type. How you will do that? If I say I have a variable and that variable has some value and that value I need to pass it over here to the type. How you will do that?
Property binding.
Property binding, right? You will wrap it up and then you will pass a variable over here. Now, this is also HTML element. Just like this is also HTML element. This HTML element has some properties, type, ng, min length, max length, placeholder. Just like that, this is also HTML element and this has a property that is array list. But this is a variable from that component. Okay. See, now it is coming over here also, and over here also. Okay. But if I remove this input now, it won't come over there. Control space. See, now it is not coming. Getting it? If I remove that input, now it's not coming over here. If I again add it, save it, it started coming.
Can we also like use it in other
Any
uh,
component, any component.
no, like
Mm,
we have this input type here,
mm,
right?
mm,
Right side.
mm,
Input type is text ng model last. So can
mm.
we use it as a property over there as well? No, right?
Where?
On that HTML element which you have highlighted.
Here?
No, outside of it, anywhere in.
No, no, no. See, don't get confused with this. Ng model is not a property of input. Is it a property of input?
No, my
Right?
question is like, can we access it like outside that?
No, Ng model will only work on input element only.
Got it.
Okay, not
Not
on display element.
Yeah, not on that. Like,
Hmm.
can we access this array list like anywhere in this HTML file
No,
or
no,
only?
no. See, as I said,
Mhm.
type can you use on BR tag? This type attribute,
No.
can you use on BR? No, na? Because type only belong to the input.
Right.
Like that. Okay. So this
Okay.
property array list belongs to this component only. Na? So how you can use it to some another element? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now coming back to again question. So if we add input property to any variable from your child component, that variable you can access over here in the parent component. Okay. Now let's try one more property. Let's say array count number is equal to by default 0. So I have two variable, array list and array count. One is having the input and other is not having the input. Okay. So see now,
We
only it
cannot.
is allowing array list only. The property which has input decorator, that only variable we can access outside this component. It's like allowing this variable to be accessed from outside this component. Understood? Understood or no? If you understand this, then only
Yes.
reusable component you will
Yes.
understand. Okay. So you have created a reusable component. In that reusable component, you have created a property variable. In front of that variable, you have added at the rate input. So because of this, now you can access this variable in parent component, and you can send some value also to this. Okay. So see now, in lifecycle component, array list is equal to, I'm passing state list over here. Okay. And in ng for component, I'm passing city list over here. Fine. Now, wherever I'm using this ULLI component, I'm passing the value. That value I will get it over here. Now this array, I can use it in my HTML to iterate.
Got it.
Okay. And here, instead of this static, you will have your li. And here you will print item. Now see. In ng for, we are able to see the city. If I go to ng class, we are able to see the state. Understood? So whatever the component you are using, that child component, you are passing the data, that data it is rendering. Clear?
Yes. Output decorator is for parent to child.
Yeah, I will explain that. First input is clear, from parent to child. If you want to pass some data from your parent component to any child component which you are using in that component, you can pass it by using input property. But in your child component, you should have a property, and in front of that you should have an input. Then only you can access that variable from your parent component. Okay. Now again consider, like you are working on a project. Your client said ki there are so many places where we have to show this ULLI. So you created reusable component for it. Okay. And if we don't create reusable component, you will have this ULLI in every component, right? If you don't have created, oh, we don't need ULL also now. Whole thing we don't know. Correct? I just copy pasted. And over here also. Yeah, here it was correct. Okay. Let's say you don't have reusable component and you had in every component you have like this. Okay. Now let's say after 2 or 3 sprint, your client said ki instead of just showing like this, let's wrap this up in your card, bootstrap card. Instead of showing ULLI like this, I want this wrapped up in my, what do we say, card. So now if you don't have a reusable component, everywhere you have to go and you have to add a card. Card dot card body, and there you put it your ULLI like this. Now your HTML grows. Here also you need to add again same thing. You are also here also you need to add. But now your ULLI is coming from your reusable component. So you just have to add this over there only. This is reusable. Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And your testing will also be very less because you don't have to test all the component because your code is coming from your single component.